Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching this video. So my name is Rene Power. I'm a B2B marketing consultant specialising in the industrial and manufacturing sector. I've been working in that space for 30 years. And this video is going to cover some of the things that I talked about at a recent Scottish manufacturing exhibition and conference. And the talk that I gave there in Glasgow in October of 2025 was all around using AI and digital marketing techniques and tools to market a manufacturing business in 2025. So the talk was about 20 minutes. When it was live, it was quite a fast-paced talk, so this might take 20 to 30 minutes, but I'm going to give you all the information that I presented live in Glasgow, and also a few other bits and pieces as well. So if this is for you, if you are a marketing, sales and commercial or director of a growing SME manufacturing business, and you want to achieve more for your business in 2025 or 2026, then stay tuned, because I've got some great content coming your way. In fact, what you'll get from this session is a bit of a sense check from your current marketing and how effective your marketing activities and efforts currently are. We'll be learning about how to use AI safely and efficiently and effectively. I'm going to take you through a 5-step process to how and where we can use AI and digital marketing tools to differentiate ourselves in the market, and also talk about developing some winning approaches to marketing in there as well. But I want to start by talking about a new manufacturing mindset that I think SME manufacturers need to have. And there's been a major shift in both buyer behaviour and the importance in creating a compelling brand story. Now, just to put that into some context, as I said, I've been working in manufacturing for 30 years, both client side in manufacturing businesses, and then for the lion's share of my career working alongside teams working within manufacturing businesses. In the UK alone, the SME manufacturing sector is worth something like £450 billion, and I think it was the 8th largest manufacturing economy as recently as 2023. So my big challenge is to help SME manufacturers get a piece of that pie and increase the overall size of the pie while we're looking at it, and bring some of those companies into the 21st marketing century. Now, what's important to realise is only about 5% of any market is actively looking to change their supplier at any one time. And of that 5%, 60 to 70% of the buying journey is taking place without engaging a sales team, oftentimes without you even knowing. People are researching and comparing you with other businesses and shortlisting you quietly online. We've definitely entered what the experts are calling a 5th industrial revolution, and this is the AI revolution. It's creating channels for people to ask for recommendations and to seek them out independently from non-traditional channels. So there's a big change in how people are searching and asking and requesting for recommendations and things like that. So we're going to talk a lot about all of that as we move through today. But the world and the economies, great opportunities, but also some inherent challenges in there as well, in terms of being seen and being recognised and approached as the experts that we are. So in my experience, and we talk about 30 years because I started working in the safety equipment sector way back in 1995, you're being held back or holding yourself back by not focusing on one or more of the following. So the first thing is positioning. Positioning is critical in modern commerce, and we need to be thinking about positioning ourselves based on the transformation that we provide, so we can create an expectation in potential customers as to what they're going to receive and what they're going to encounter when they transact with us. So that idea of transformation is really important. It goes beyond merely talking about the specifications and the functionality of some of the products and the services that we deliver to our markets. So positioning on transformation and being really, really clear about that. The second thing is having an authority website. This is really important still, and we'll talk about this when we get on to more the AI component of the talk, but an authority website with sufficient content that achieves that all-important point of positioning and differentiating yourself from other potential commodity partners and suppliers in a market. An authority website where content is produced that specifically talks to the needs and the problems and the challenges that we know our customers have, and they are things that we help them overcome. Really, really important that we have the right content on our websites for traditional search in terms of Google searches and Bing and things like that, but increasingly in the artificial environment where some of that information is going to be pulled from search engines, it makes this content particularly important. And that brings us to point number 3, which is having specific type of content which is in fact answer ready. So if you think about your own search history, your own way of searching for content, for recommendations online, take that into the AI space. If you've dabbled with tools like ChatGPT and things like that, you will know that you're often asking very, very specific questions to get very specific responses, and these responses are increasingly what we call answer ready. So content that sits on websites and is then used as marketing fuel for all of our traditional activities like email newsletters, blogs, YouTube video channels, our social media content, any PR we might put out, and a whole load more needs to speak to this evolving mindset of being answer ready when our prospects and customers go looking for manufacturers like us. So the purpose of this talk is to talk about how and where to use AI in marketing. I think there's obviously an infinite number of areas that we can use it in. I think most people who have dabbled with AI are looking at ideas generation and creation of marketing material, marketing content, or marketing assets. I call these things like brochures and landing pages and videos and the sorts of things that are going to encourage people to come along and check us out. So idea generation and creation is a really good place to start, but actually we can look at using some of these tools a whole lot more strategically. We can look at process improvement, not just across the marketing process, but within our organizations at a much grander scale. This talk is obviously focused on marketing and the commercial aspects, but also getting recommended. So how we create the stuff we're going to create to get people interested in and finding out more about us. So I'll give you 10 seconds there just to scan that scorecard. Do take the scorecard. Like I said, it's 11 questions. It'll take 2 minutes, and then you've got an opportunity at some extra things that you can get hold of as a result of completing that. So when we talk about AI, what do we mean? What springs to mind? I'll admit I wasn't a particularly early adopter, and I think when AI arrived in lots of softwares in the 2020s, I've seen it pop up in everything from .digital in the email software space to suggesting responses in LinkedIn and how to structure posts and write replies and comments and things like this, into design packages like Canva and Adobe Express, where you can create static images and all this sort of stuff. I wasn't that wild with it, and I particularly wasn't that enamored with ChatGPT early doors. I think particularly one of the drawbacks was it was operating from a pre-2023 information and data set, so it wasn't even real time, it wasn't up to date. Now I think they've moved on that quite a bit through 24 and 25, and they've added all the deeper research modules and things to it, and various other things which have suddenly made these tools much more interesting to use, both from a creation, performance, and getting recommended perspective. So I'm a lot more comfortable with them, and I'm comfortable that AI isn't going to replace somebody like me, and I'm not writing my retirement check by giving presentations like this and showing businesses like yours how you can use these tools. But I'm aware that marketers that are embracing of these tools and use them both strategically and tactically are probably going to have a steer ahead of those that are still rallying against them. So I think the important thing is to get a number of things in place before you start to really think about maximising how you can use these tools. So as I said, it's about using tools like ChatGPT for ideas generation, Copilot if you're a Microsoft user, or Claude for actual creation of materials, and then some of the design packages and things as well. But always starting from a place where you have a strong brief, you're humanizing the content, adding your own unique organization tone of voice and brand to it, and iterating those outputs into your own brand voice. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to do that as we move through this presentation. So I talked about 5 steps or 5 areas where we can deploy AI technology to help us from a marketing perspective. And I think the first one is to take time to create and think strategically. Now you might need to really understand where you are in your current marketing efforts. I think that's really crucial, which is why I dropped the scorecard into the presentation early. That will appear again later in the presentation, or maybe even at the end. It's really important that you have a thorough assessment of your business strategy, though, your brand, and that includes everything to do with what your values are in your people and your organization, and what it feels like when people come in touch with you, all the different touch points, what the mission and the vision of the business is, what you're trying to achieve, where you want to be long term, and how that strategy and that brand aligns with sales and aligns with marketing, so that anything you produce, any content you create, anything you publish or post or say in public, anything you share with customers and prospects is going to be pointed towards the right strategic objectives of the business and drawing on brand and things like that. But to be fair, strategy can be as simple or as complicated as you want to make it. So for strategy, for this early stage where we talk about understanding ourselves, understanding our position in the market, thinking about our competition, thinking about our customers and who our ideal customer is and why they choose companies like ours and what makes us then particularly unique. There's a whole lot of really interesting things that we can use AI tools like ChatGPT and some of the others for. I think particularly now we're already on ChatGPT 5, and there's an opportunity to create our own bespoke market insights reports, analyze markets, analyze competitors, maybe research product extension, market extension, and run feasibility exercises around major decisions. These are all really good strategic uses of ChatGPT. Now, what I'd caveat with all of the use with these platforms is wherever possible, you want to turn off in the settings the setting, and in ChatGPT it's called improve the model for everyone. There will be a similar setting in Copilot and in Claude and in Gemini and various other tools that you might elect to use. But it's really important that we do that because we want to retain the control of any data that we share to help improve outputs. We've got to be careful about what we put into these software, because if we're not, then it will have that information, it will make that information available to all, because it's constantly machine learning all the time. So strategy is really important, but be really careful what information you use. If you're thinking about using sales data and stuff like that, you've got to be really careful and protect yourself as much as possible. But certainly from a chat perspective, there's a whole load of things there. I've also included there at the point 2 the idea of constructive criticism of what we're doing, what we're suggesting, what we're thinking, what we're planning, by asking the models to kind of question us and and improve what we're doing and iterate what we're doing all the time. So ChatGPT is great for a lot of that stuff, and the model has really, really improved over time. Copilot, if you're a Microsoft 365 user, can be really good for pulling together and maximizing the strength in depth that you have across the whole Microsoft suite. So again, we could probably do a lot of the similar things there in Copilot, but specifically I've been using it for things like daily news prompts to stay on top of the industry. I've created agents to bounce ideas off, obviously, and I think you could use it very well for interpreting and evaluating sales data and turning that into board level presentations, presentations that might be looking to attract more investment and more funding, or market development strategies. So thinking about how we use the business intelligence aspects within Microsoft Suite, and how we can then use that and run that through Excel to look for trends, run that into presentations and Word documents to kind of put that in front of the right people. So a lot of interesting things that we could use Copilot for in the Microsoft Office space. And then you're looking at creativity and design. So whether you're a Canva or an Adobe user, we can obviously use templates and brand them and make annual reports look amazing, CSR reports, sustainability reports, and various other things. So we can produce a lot of really great assets in inexpensive software that all have elements of AI involved in them to help us get things outlined and created a little bit faster. But yeah, just keep that warning in mind about switching off the improve the model for everyone, so you do keep your information locked down to yourself, and also make sure that you're briefing as fully as you can to get the best possible ideas and content out that you can. Okay, so building a brand, really important. So we're thinking about using AI tools strategically to really help inform our position in a market and our understanding of a market, understanding of key customers. Then we need to think about and evaluate what our brand looks like and how that is reflecting into the market. So building a brand is where most SME manufacturers and some large complex ones, I think, can get really stuck. Because branding isn't just logos or brochures, it's your story. Why do you exist? Why do you solve what you solve? Why you over another competitor? So instead of saying we make industrial coatings, we might say we protect equipment that keeps food and farming moving. So as I've said, positioning is all about transformation. It's not just about specification, and we want to remember that we need to try and talk to the inactive 95% of the market as much as we do the 5% that we think are active and showing interest and ready to buy. So how do we use AI to in our brand development process? Well, we can use AI to feed information into an AI tool. If we've already got very clear brand guidelines, we've got positioning statements, messaging maps that talk to our mission and our vision, our values and core USPs and who our ideal market is. We can feed all of that in. We can even feed in competitor URLs and links to their websites. AI will evaluate some of these things in seconds for us and create market competitor reports that will help us identify areas where we can seek to stand out and gain a competitive advantage. So if that is an exercise that you've not done in your business for a while, and it's quite likely you may not have, it's definitely something to think about. But the key thing is looking at the promises that are being made and this concept of transformation. Why us? Why should people choose us? What's in it for them? Really, really powerful. I don't have a load of time to talk about this. This is something I bring up in most of my talks. This is the Donald Miller, Building a Brand Story, which talks about the hero's journey. And the biggest shift you can make today as a result of listening and watching this presentation is that you need to realize that you and your business are not the hero of the story. You are the guide. You are the Obi-Wan Kenobi to your customer Luke Skywalker, who's got this problem of trying to return this errant droid back to a princess with these plans to destroy a big weapon, and he needs some help to get there. So you are helping your customer. You are a guide with a clear roadmap, which is either a product or a service. It's going to help them get what they want and help them get to where they need. And there's a whole framework around how to bring this to life and bring this to life in your messaging, so that you're talking to your key customer about key things that matter to them. So it's a really powerful model that I've brought to life with a lot of my manufacturing clients, and help them position in a way using a brand story and the 7 steps here in the hero's journey. It's a really powerful thing and worth looking at. So once we're clear on those 2 steps, then we start looking at aligning marketing with sales, and we want to build realistic sales forecasts backed by data that fit your process. Now, sales and marketing are not separate, and they really do need to align, but for this to happen, it really has to happen before any marketing communications, the tactical stuff, gets underway. Now, I work with clients to understand precisely how they convert business and how the process works, right from first touch to understanding how much of what is being bought when, and all of those good things, and how we start moving customers into repeat business, into advocates and screaming champions. But it is important that marketing assets fit the sales process, or they simply won't be used. So I build out sales and marketing funnels for clients, and we start at the bottom there. You can't quite see it; it's been chopped off in the diagram. But we start with a level of new business that we want to achieve from marketing activity. So this is your new business. So it's not the stuff that's booked. It's not the total turnover for the business. It's how much you want from new business. Then we start to look at what our average order value might be, how many clients that comes from, how many clients do we need, how many orders do we need to have placed to reach the new business target that we want. So these are numbers that you can take from your business based on historical sales. Now, then the rest of this, as we work up the chart, is a reverse engineered exercise where we start to map our sales process, and we look at each of the steps, each of the phases. Some companies have very long sales processes, some are very short. Some are as simple as call comes in or an inquiry comes in, we have a call, we do a demo, and then we give a quote, and then it's a yes no decision, and then we're off and running. Other companies can be more involved based on either the complexity of the products, the longevity of the sales process, particularly if it's huge contracts, huge volume contracts, tenders, all of these sorts of things. So your process you need to factor in, and you need to really look at historical data to get a sense of how many trials and tests then convert to orders, how many quotes and specs can convert to trial and test, how many initial phone calls or one-to-one meetings turn up into quotes and specs. So you're working it all the way back up the chain, so you can get a feel for if you are 1 in every 2, 3 in 10, 5 in 20. That then starts to give you an audience of how many inquiries you actually need to create, and a universe of people that you need to be talking to. And then on the right side, we then start to map, okay, so what do we need to do to hit the numbers we need to hit at each of those stages? How do we convert people to the next step in our sales conversion process? So in very simple terms, this boardroom facilitation and this tool here can help to align the commercial drivers within the business, the reality of your sales process, and also what the marketing calendar of activity and campaigns needs to look like and include. But this is a lot of the stuff I do one-to-one, so if you're interested in this, you can get in touch with me and we can have a conversation about that. So the sales and marketing alignment obviously critical because we want to be working towards achievable, realistic goals and setting marketing up to succeed rather than setting it up to fail. So the next step is to create high value content, which is where AI can really come into its own. And this is the idea of really creating high value content that is going to move conversion forward at whatever step people come into contact with you. Content is your engine, and that doesn't change in an AI age. What you say and share and determines whether people trust you or forget about you. So think of it like this: every great customer started out confused. So it's your job to educate them, to answer questions, to solve their problems, and ultimately make it easy for them to choose you. Creation, I imagine I'd be aghast if anybody coming across this video has not tried to use AI tools to create pieces of content, whether it's LinkedIn posts, whether it's articles for a website, email copy, landing pages, or improve landing pages. And don't forget, we can use these tools to improve what we've already got. We don't have to use them to create from scratch. We can use them to improve what we've already got in place. We could develop role play sales scripts that could be aligned to a decision tree or a series of things that we want to get from a get from a call with a prospect, or align that with our sales process. We can use it, and developers are using AI to clean up web code and make that cleaner and easier, both from a performance perspective but also from an SEO perspective. We can use it to improve marketing process, and there's a lot of tools now that enable you to, once you take an inquiry and it drops from your website into your CRM, it can send some emails, and you can use automated workflows then to drop people and move people around different lists and different groups, so that you've got a continual real-time view of where any particular contact is at any point. The point there on writing, if you're using ChatGPT for ideas and outlines and things like that, you might just want to consider using one of the more accomplished technologies like Claude for the full drafts, and maybe Gemini for editing. So again, you're getting the best of all the available tools and not just relying on one for everything. Copilot, as we've talked about, using that in conjunction with other Microsoft products, we can turn technical data into, quite striking marketing copy. We can clean up case studies, and we can write and script explainer videos, and then take that into production. So there's a lot of things that we can do. And then Canva and Adobe, we've talked about, the strategic side of things, market reports, competitor reports, sustainability reports, things like that. But from a more conventional campaigning side of things, we can look at mocking up datasheet designs, social media graphics, lead magnets, video animations we can create from static images, and product mock-ups, and all kinds of interesting things. But again, the rules apply. If we're going to use these tools to create materials that we want to take into the market, we want to make sure that we protect ourselves and we protect the data that we share as much as possible, and we get the best possible outcomes. So there's a slide in the deck, and if you want to get in touch with me and you want to get access to the actual slides, not just have access in video format, this is a great slide that I put together, which talks about the art of the prompt and some of the things to think about. Now, often I'll write 500 to 1,000 word prompts for AI to generate the sort of stuff I want to produce, because it's got to give you what you want. So it's really powerful. So here's an example of who we're creating for both the individual and the company, the sector, the tone, the subject, and the length. We're giving some guidance on the vocabulary and grammar and the English, and we're telling it how to lay that out and how not to lay that out. And we're providing source material to help to do that as well. So you can see quite a lot goes into these things. So again, just thinking about the creativity side, using AI tools to do everything from articles, newsletters, checklists, best of comparisons, buyer's guide downloads, benchmark scorecards. So over the next few slides, I'm talking about loads of different ways that I've successfully used tools to create assets for clients. The first one here is Sherwood, an aluminium and stainless steel company in the West Midlands in the UK. Did the website, made a very good video for them, and then we've created some lead generation assets on their website, one of which is the 10 things to consider when choosing your aluminium extrusion supply partner. So this is a guide to help people who might be buying and choosing a provider for the first time, or maybe even somebody who's working with a competitor, and giving them a few things to think about. Are they actually getting best value? So I call these buyer's guides. Really easy to dangle on a website, and then include on your social media regularly, at the bottom of email footers right across the business. You could PR it. There's a lot of different ways to kind of promote them once you have them. Developed with and through ChatGPT and output through Canva. Expert blogging, big one for me. Big, important that we're providing lots of content that people will find when they're searching for it, and also it's good content for the business to put out in its own right on its own channels. So expert blogging here for an insulation brand and also a coatings company, generated probably 60-40 human AI, so good strong human outline, improved with AI, and then edited and completed with tone of voice before seeking approval and publishing them online. Images, client images or stock images, we can even use a Meta AI and other tools like that to help us have unique photo sets. Where possible, use your own. AI video, again, some examples here of using Synthesia. So if you're struggling to get people on camera, a lot of manufacturing businesses do struggle in this area, and we can use AI tools. So nothing beats building your marketing around your people, but if you can't use software like Synthesia, if you can't then use software like Synthesia IO to create realistic talking head videos that can be used for all manner of things. We're using them for one of my clients to talk about defects in the coating process, for all different types of defects that commonly present, and how to mitigate or minimize and remove them altogether from the equation. But you could use them for product demonstrations, news, product explainers, all kinds of different things. So we've turned what is essentially a white middle-aged sales team into a diverse, international, multi-age team doing something that no one else is doing in that space. So when you do it first, it makes it difficult for anybody else to come along and counter. Finally, scorecards. So I've used my example through the slides here, and actually what you see, you get the very simple landing page. We can put a video on there of how to complete that, and then you get the questions, the yes/no questions. There are other ways of building it, but I like them. They're quite simple. And then you get your scores. So there's a lot of AI in here that helps you to create the landing page, gives you a first stab on questions, so you're not writing from a blank page, and also in producing the dynamic responses. So depending on if you return a high, medium or low score, you're obviously going to get a different tailored response. So it's quite a neat little tool. For about £30 a month, you can run 2 or 3 scorecards simultaneously at the same time and use them for lead generation. They're really good at events, really good if you do a lot of talks like I'm doing today, and things like that. So really nice tool to start to develop and start conversations in your own business. So this is by no means an exhaustive overview of AI tools in digital marketing, but we've got the brainstorming and ideas generation, there's the task automation, a number of copywriting tools, video, and then we can get into more the performance side with user experience, data analytics and things like that. Obviously, we can talk about using AI video. and even web design and development. There are ways to, if you want to do very, very simple and very quick landing pages, throw up campaign specific stuff to do that. So the world of AI is moving and evolving all the time, but there's some tremendous opportunities for manufacturing businesses, particularly if you feel you're a little bit naive when it comes to the marketing side of things. You can actually take 2 or 3 steps forward fairly rapidly by working with somebody to help put some of these tools into practice for you. And the scorecards actually are just one of a number of new AIs that are leaning into this whole self-selection and self-service side of things. There are pricing apps now that you can plug into your website and populate them to give quick ready quotes if this isn't something as a business you've done before. You can have stock checkers. You can do all kind of track and trace on delivery. There's really a lot that can be done. You can create apps in seconds now, so you can have all your product information in apps that sit on people's mobile phones for users. It's a tremendous way to lock people in to your business. So the final area is obviously to run your marketing campaigns and evaluate against KPI. So again, really important that we set goals and objectives for everything that we do, and we create sequences that drive traffic and leads and sales from your assets. Obviously we can use AI in terms of looking at the sales data, looking at the inquiries and all the form fills and callback requests on websites. So it's really making sure that we're setting up all the right call to actions and that we're able to analyze and assess them on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, and then we do more of what works and less of what doesn't work. And before you know it, marketing becomes a slick machine because you're running it like one. So what I've actually done, and I've overlaid AI onto it, is I've taken you through a process that I've kind of developed called the Market Right process with me, and which it delivers clarity, creativity, consistency and confidence in marketing to stretched manufacturing leaders. And I believe adopting this process, where at step 1 we get together in a boardroom, we spend half a day really getting under the skin of the business and the market and where the opportunities sit, and then moving it into making sure that our brand is strong and differentiated. We have a good understanding of our sales process and the market and setting some goals there, and then getting into what marketing can do for us. Adopting this process, manufacturers can effectively engage an audience and drive sustainable growth, however challenging and however much your marketplace evolves. And these are the sorts of things we should probably put in place before we start really going overboard with AI and digital tools, but we can certainly use them, as I've alluded to, throughout that process. So it's important that we, as I said, critique all of our content. If we're writing articles for our website in 2024, new legislation comes in 25-26, we need to update all of that content, refreshing older content, bringing it back up to date. We can use AI to help us with that. We can use AI to evaluate and report on all the web traffic we're having, the open and click rates on email, form fills, downloads, all of this stuff. Really, really powerful that we use these tools to make life easier, to analyze trends and to provide ongoing recommendations for what to do next. But as I said, I've been in the business for 30 years, both working in and with manufacturing businesses. I'd love to see how I can help and how I can bring a structured and strategic marketing presence into your business as well. Thanks for taking the time to click on the video, and do feel free to leave a comment if you felt it was useful, and do feel free to get in touch and have a conversation about what may come next. But I appreciate your time, and thanks again for stopping by today. Thanks.